Hello there everyone and welcome back to my channel for the topic of discussing some songs that charted really highly on Billboard in 2019. These are the 20 highest charting songs on Billboard from that said year, according to their own website, really. Yeah, not really a year that I have too much familiarity with when it comes to the American mainstream music, I gotta be honest. However, some of these I absolutely do. And I guess a little bit of a spoiler here early on. This year kind of surprised me by how much I actually did enjoy it. So stick around and see what I have to say about these songs if you're interested. I'm happy to have you here. I will get right to the important things and start off with the song that was number 20 on the year-end charts, which was Better by Khalid here again, who keeps returning in like all of these lists now. I didn't even realize he was that big of a thing over in the US, because I don't think in Sweden his songs have charted this highly and become such hits, but it's really nice to see because I feel like his songs are really refreshing in the pop scene and I do usually really enjoy them as well. This one has yet another really beautiful vocal performance in the track that I think Khalid just has that presence in his voice and the way that he works with these more smooth and mellow beats. It's just a perfect fit and he really found his style and his sound, and just nails it every single time, I feel. Very emotionally poignant, this song as well, I have to say. I think that just hits quite nicely. There's a sweet and very simple like piano composition throughout the song that just feels constant and a nice chord to rely on. I think maybe the heavy 808 usage in this beat might be a bit distracting. It might just be a tad too much of its presence here to make the song as chill and relaxing as I think it really sets out to be. I think maybe it's just overdoing the bass usage a little bit in here. However, the overall song is just really smooth and it flows just very nicely all throughout the song. A nice little vocoder outro as well to really hammer it home. I'm placing this at in the beat here. I think this is a great song and a really nice hit song to have here. Very much enjoyed going back to this one. I actually not sure if I have heard it before delving into this list because there was something familiar about it, but it might just be another Khalid song that kind of reminds me of this one because he obviously has very much his own identity with the music that he puts out. But I'm placing this one in the beat here. Not the strongest Khalid song I've heard, but it's a nice one, absolutely. As I move on to a song that everyone's heard for sure, kind of surprised that it's only 19th on the year-end charts. Maybe it appeared in the next year's charts as well, I'm not sure. However, Shallow by Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga from the movie A Star is Born, of course, is really quite beautifully written. I've always found that to be the case. The sparse instrumentation that it has is quite compelling. I think that makes it sound a bit natural and honest. It's a song that really kind of relies on its very pretty composition, but why shouldn't it? But I mean, if you have it, then utilize it. Lady Gaga sings this one incredibly well, I have to say. I think also that Bradley Cooper provides kind of a nice harmony and contrast to her performance in this song, and it just makes sense and clicks quite nicely when I listen to it. However, I mean, it's obviously very on the nose that this song is from the movie, and they're kind of playing on that a lot in this song, I feel, as well. I mean, they're really like, I really dislike all of these kind of crowd noises that they scatter throughout the tracks during those choruses. I don't know why you decide to keep that in the studio cut. Maybe you just want to hammer in for your listener that, remember, this song is from a movie. I think you should just really embrace the fact that you wrote a pretty song and don't overexpose the listener to the fact that it comes from a movie, because we don't need to know that. We already know that. Now we just want to enjoy the song on its own. So it feels a bit too much in that aspect. I'm placing this one in the C tier. It's a strong C, but I have my qualms with it. Very pretty composition. Ultimately not maybe the most interesting song out there, but it hits quite nicely, I will say. So C tier for Shallow, in my opinion. As I move on to Going Bad by Meek Mill and Drake. And to my ears, I might be ignorant, what do I know, but to my ears this sounds like just any other rap song really from this time. I find nothing to really stand out about this. Minimalistic, predictable beat, which could be nice, but I just don't find it to stand out much among competition really, or competition, but you know, other songs. I feel like this one just blends into the mix of all of the other songs out there. It really has nothing new to say either, I feel. It just kind of trundles along and doesn't leave an impression on me at all. It's just there to kind of be a vibe and just kind of fill up the places in someone's hip hop playlist on Spotify. That's the feeling that I'm getting from it. Maybe there's something that I'm missing in it that just has these redeeming qualities and just makes it stand out. But to me, I don't really know why this is so much better than a lot of other rap songs. There's nothing about it that speaks to me. I'm placing it in the E tier, and that will be that. As I move on to Eastside by Benny Blanco, Halsey, and Khalid again, and this is a really nice one to return to. I find it very pretty. It's like one of the most smooth progressions of the year, I would say, like development-wise in the song. It just flows so nicely. The song is a foot tapper from the first second to the last. I'm having fun listening to it while it's still very much a relaxed and chilled song. Some energetic vocal performances in the song as well on this like mellow beat, yet a very captivating beat as well, I would say, which is a kind of a nice combination that they really utilize here. The beat, they're using kind of these elongated synth bass just for solely for presence, really. As the more crisp percussion really is what takes over, and the pretty little guitar line acts as the core of the song, really, in a very effective way. I do like that guitar work, even though it's very simple and predictable. The harmony between Halsey and Khalid is brilliant, really, I think, just showcasing emotional strength and also having a very soft touch in here as well, which is really nice. And the vocals are enhanced by this laid-back beat. Just a perfect balance of something of like a serene setting and some kind of catchy motion and movement in the song. Placing this one in the A tier, I think it's a brilliant little relaxing pop tune that I definitely can listen to at any time and just go along with the beat and flow of it all. Move on. I actually realized that these two are in the wrong order here, so let me just swap them a little bit. The next one up is I Don't Care by Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber. And I always ask myself the same question when I listen to this song. Why do I like it so much? Because I'm not sure if I really know. Like, it's simple, instrumentally, very minimalistic and underwhelming and incredibly predictable, but I just have the biggest smile on my face every time I listen to this song for whatever reason. It's just incredibly effective, like a pop song that just has such a light-hearted approach to it. I simply just can't dislike that. Catchy chorus for sure, and melodically well-flowing, I would say as well. I think it just really kind of transcends the expectations in that regard. It's a lovely little duet as well that take out the strengths from both of the artists here, I would say. And you'll absolutely find me doing the hook along every time that I hear the song. It's just that catchy and memorable, I suppose. And I'm moving my shoulders from side to side every time I'm in my groove listening to the song. It just has that hold on me. And I really can't explain why. It's just lighthearted, fun, warm, inviting, and charming. And I love every second of it. I'm placing this one in the A tier as well. It just has to be up there for me. Next up, now it's time for Señorita by Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello. And catchy melody to this one, for sure. It's a song that I've heard so many times unwillingly. But I get why it's such a successful pop song. I think mainly it also came down to the fact that it's Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello singing together. So people were like, ooh, we should pay attention to this because it seems like it's about their relationship and people want to know all of the gossip and the details and whatnot. I don't know. As Camila Cabello throws out the lines like, friends don't know the way you taste, ooh la la. There are things to really consider about it, and maybe I'm not really the audience for it, and maybe I don't enjoy every aspect, but I admit that I do snap my fingers along with the beat sometimes. Really, it's something also like kind of pleasant about this suggestive atmosphere that the song has. Little neat bass walks here and there. Just don't mind it being on in the background, I suppose, was really the main takeaway that I have. It's a nice little groove and motion to the song. Vocal lines are all right throughout the song, I'd say, but the overplay has definitely taken its toll on me, and it's noticeable. I've never found this one to be particularly interesting either, but for the background, just kind of nice to have there. I'm placing this one in C tier. I don't think it does many things wrong. It's just kind of the overplay that's I guess the negative aspect, and I won't take that into consideration. It's a fine, solid little pop tune that I don't particularly mind, but it's not something I get excited about, not at all. And I gotta be honest, I don't really get excited either about Dancing with a Stranger by Sam Smith and Normani here, but this is yet another very like chill track relying on just a smooth vibe. It's another vibey song, really, is kind of the main thing. It's quite enjoyable, snappy beat, really, and pleasant vocal lines here. It's an enjoyable duet with great vocal inputs from both Sam Smith and Normani here. It's not particularly interesting, but a satisfactory listen, I would say. I'm placing this one top of C tier. I have more fun listening to this than I do with either Shallow or Señorita, but it's just not that noteworthy, I would say. So I'm still thinking that C would be the most fair tier if I were to go by my preference here, which I will do every single time. Okay, next up is Truth Hurts by Lizzo. Which is, you know, I mean, I'll be honest. This is the furthest thing away from my music preference that you could ever find in the history of anything. Yeah, I'm just not sure if I've ever heard anything that's less up my alley. And for some reason, this is charting very highly. I suppose people find it funny, and all the more power to them. I just simply don't. I guess it kind of be like one of these songs that intentionally relies on shocking grammar. There's like a cheeky little wordplay throughout the song that I just don't find funny because I guess I don't really have this kind of humor, which is a me issue, I suppose, because it's obviously a huge hit, but I just can't find myself ever enjoying it. Obnoxious, nonsensical background vocals throughout the song as well that just feel like they're in the way. It's all about kind of like an aggressive attitude that song wants to have as well in both lyrics and vocal style, and I'm just not really clicking with that. I don't think that the whole attitude and approach of it all is very charming or fun. It's just not something that I find appealing or attractive in that sense, I suppose. No melodic variation to the song either. It's just there. It's a heavy beat and someone just kind of it's mostly like an acting performance. It's just talking with really a little amount of melodic variation in there. Flat beat, I would say, irritating siren just going around next to these pointless backing vocals. Just a headache-inducing song if I've ever heard one for me, which is a shame, but I mean, it has an audience, so all the more power to them. I just despise it, unfortunately, so that's an F. Perhaps not the most unpredictable F that I've put on these lists so far, but yeah, that's just not for me. Next up, Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, which is I remember like when it was kind of released, both this one and the other Ariana Grande song I'll talk about a bit later, they were considered a little bit of like funny songs, a bit meme worthy, but I think this one just kind of works really. Like they're utilizing that to an advantage as well. Like it's catchy because of the repetitive nature of the song. It's absolutely a repetitive hook for sure. And I'm not saying that it would never be, because it absolutely is. But it's incredibly memorable at the same time. And they're utilizing that repetitiveness in an effective way to just make it stick here. And you could easily consider it very irritating and tiring. And you could also very easily consider it to be quite effective and enjoy it for what it is. I think that one thing that just kind of sets it apart for me is probably the vocal arrangement and the performance of that by Ariana Grande here, which I think is quite refreshing, really. It's varied, it's expressive, it's all over the place, and just takes its own little turns and paths around the soundstage here. It's a relaxed vibe in the song as well, with a decent amount of energy to just kind of create a good foot tapper, I would say, which I think it absolutely is. Phrasing of the track is effective. I understand, like, sometimes I've definitely complained about this kind of phrasing with the pauses and whatnot and a monotonous hook. Here I just find it effective for whatever reason. Fun pop song. I'm placing this one in the B tier. I think it's a fun listen. Not something that I really go out of my way to listen to, but I always find myself singing along a little bit to the hook and tapping my foot with it. So yeah, nice one. Next up, High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. And Panic at the Disco I haven't talked about for 13 or 14 videos now. And of course, when Panic at the Disco returns, I do have myself some high hopes as well, which unfortunately, I've just never enjoyed this song. I find it to be impressively annoying, which is really a shame, because I think like maybe this music style should be up my alley. But this song is just too much for me. It's just very imposing on I was about to say on all senses, but not really. Like it's obviously audio, but it's very imposing. I feel like it wants to do too much. The vocal style that he has here, while it was charming in the last time I talked about Panic at the Disco, here I just find it to be off-putting. It's too much. It's too screechy and expressive, and just kind of relying on loudness. And I just find it to be overdone, really. The instrumental as well, like, just kind of collides with these vocals as well. It just provides a lot of chaos in the song that I don't enjoy. The percussion is intense. It's all over the place with some of the most rapid hi-hat usage I've ever heard, I think. Like some parts of the song, you just feel like the hi-hat is gonna break down. I mean, I know it's digital, but it's just that insane, like the amount of it. I get everything like supposed to be very energetic and pump you up in the song, but at a certain point, I just feel like there's no real balance to it anymore. It's just too much. It's all a mess in my ears, really, and makes me really tired to listen to it. Overdose of just crazy ideas, abrupt changes of mood, tension, and energy throughout. I mean, that doesn't help. It's to me, it's like the audio equivalent of a circus on fire. It's just all over the place, proper chaos that I can't comprehend. I understand that some find it either, very catchy or motivational, but I just unfortunately can't hear any of it. I'm placing this one, believe it or not, in the F tier because it's simply something that I can't listen to. I turn it off instantly if it starts because my head can't take it. Might be a me issue, but I really dislike the song. Unfortunately, I want to like all of the songs that Panic at the Disco puts out because I think a lot of them are great, but this one I've just never enjoyed, and of course it's probably their biggest hit. So what can you say? Next up is Sucker by Jonas Brothers, and I don't think that maybe this song really would have become such a hit if it wasn't like the Jonas Brothers comeback, because that's really the main selling point here. It just feels like it became a hit because of that, really. Accessible track though, like it focuses on warmth quite a lot and it has some snappy little movements in there, but I don't think the song feels particularly progressive. It doesn't develop enough throughout the song either. It's kind of lifeless rhythmically for me anyway. I feel like the stabs that it uses, it's like what it only relies on. Like it relies entirely on these repeatedly rigid stabs and hits, really. The claps of the song are also like obnoxious throughout in their overbearing presence. And even though the chorus is a little bit of a sing-along friendly one, I just don't enjoy it. So I'm placing this one in the E tier as well, actually. It's more interesting than the song that I've actually even forgotten the name of, what it was called, with Drake and Meek Mill. Going Bad. But still, it's an E tier song for me there, unfortunately. As I move on to Sicko Mode by Travis Scott, which was a huge thing when it was released. I remember that. I mean, it's very creative. It's out there. I think it's very clever to kind of create a medley type of song for this generation where shorter songs seem to have much greater success than before. One's attention span surely isn't challenged listening to this song due to its several switch-ups. It's unpredictable, does a good job of transitioning between the sections as well. I think it flows quite nicely. The real issue is probably that it's not really my music at all, but some of the beats here are quite engaging, and I found myself actually returning to it a few times willingly as I've listened to the songs from this year, because I just find there to be something compelling in there. Vocally, it's unfortunately another one of these very heavily processed mumble rapping performances that are not really my thing. I mean, sometimes the style can work for me if there's something more emotionally poignant, but this song is more just kind of cocky and braggy, which I don't think this restrained, mumbly approach does any favors for, really. I find it to be a bit of a letdown, really. I want some assertiveness if you're going to go with that style, which I don't think this song really has. The hook or hooks they aren't really particularly catchy to my ear either. And the only ones that end up like being memorable for me are the ones that kind of rely on repetition a lot, like the Drake part with the out like a light, like a light, like a light. I mean, that just sticks in there because it's repeated, which is effective, I get it, but it's not particularly, like, it's not a melodic song at all, and it doesn't set out to be, but I need something more to engage myself with. I'm still placing this in the D tier because I think some aspects of it are absolutely enjoyable and interesting, but ultimately the song is just simply not really that much for me, I suppose. However, something that absolutely is for me would be Talk by Khalid again, and Disclosure. And love the little vocal dynamic delivery, like the dynamic vocal delivery from Khalid here, which I think is stunning in the song. It's such a sweet and smooth hook. And I mean, it definitely goes just perfectly with the crisp and stylish instrumental from Disclosure on this song, who really are on their A game here, I think. Masterclass in production, really, and with like this very distinct arrangement and playful sound design, which I think is probably the main thing here. Rhythmically, just irresistible. What a hook the song has. It just flows so nicely. Sing-along friendly and incredibly playful instrumentally. I can't place it anywhere else than an A tier. I think it's like, what a year Khalid is having here. I've talked about it 3 times, and it's 2 A's and a B. It won't appear more here, but what a year. Talk is my standout favorite from them as well. It's such a brilliant song in my opinion. So very happy that has found so much success as well, as I move on to Seven Rings by Ariana Grande, which is also, like, just like with Thank You Next, but even to a further extent in my opinion. This was like the meme song because of the whole, you know, the overdoing it, the whole want it, got it melody, which is, you know, it's catchy on the ear and it's a memorable aspect, but I think they're really overdoing it. But I get why they're overdoing it, so it's not. But here I will just sit and say what I enjoy the most, I suppose. I get why it would be successful, but I don't think it's as fun as a Thank You Next. It completely, but it's incredibly addictive, which, you know, resulted in its massive success. Personally, I kind of dislike this whole rhythmic phrasing that the choruses have here. I find it to drag a bit much, but the beat it's gritty and characteristic. I think the verses flow really nicely as well, have some like rhythmical kind of switch ups and takes unexpected and free-flowing turns melodically due to the melodic rhythm here. I think Ariana Grande really feels like she's coming into her own and really can be as expressive as she wants to be in these vocal performances, which is really nice. Has a very lovely flow to it. Effectively arranged as well, I think, and could be a fun listen if I'm in the mood for it, for sure. I'm placing this in the C tier as well. It kind of goes along with the Sam Smith track there, what's it called, Dancing with a Stranger. That's it. Yeah, a fun listen, but maybe not the most enjoyable for me or interesting mainly. Okay, so a few songs to go, and the first one of those would be Bastille and Marshmello's song Happier, which, you know, when I just think of it as a concept in my head, this shouldn't really be that interesting to me, and it's not the most intriguing composition out there, nor is the arrangement that expressive really, but it just has a way of clicking with me. I think that Bastille's vocal work in this song is a huge reason for why it hits. His clear tone and just distinct resonance is really like the perfect fit for making this storytelling of the track very authentic and sincere, and make it sound very relatable as well. I think that he does a big part in that. The lyrics, I think, can hit incredibly hard. Usually I'm not much for looking into the lyrics, but in this case, they can hit incredibly hard if you find them to be relatable. And I gotta admit, I've probably shed a tear or two listening to this and just thinking about things that happen in life, and how people can affect us and how we can affect people and feel about the way that we treat others, I suppose. The instrumental hook here from Marshmello isn't really that interesting, I think. Like, it's melodically very simplistic. However, I think that its use of Bastille's vocals in combination with this instrumental hook is exactly what they should have done, because that makes it seem a bit more refreshing and doesn't really put the instrumental hook in focus, because it is on the monotonous and simple side. So that's a nice kind of get out of jail card, or whatever you want to call it. It's a very sweet tune altogether with a palpable approach, I'd say, and I do enjoy it quite a bit. I do have, I guess, a little bit of a complaint that some of the transitions in the track are quite rigid, which I don't really like, but it's still definitely an A tier song. I'm placing it there, I think. I think Talk is the standout so far that I've talked about, but all three of the others I'm having really positive feelings towards for sure. Less so will I have about Wow by Post Malone, and I gotta say, like this is unfortunately quite a disappointment from Post Malone in my opinion. Like after the great singles that he put out in 2018, this one comes along and it's not really there for me. The beat has like a bass so heavy that it's just kind of like all of the other instrumental inputs, they don't really get much light here because it's all about the bass. Nice Meghan Trainor reference, I suppose. But it's too much, too overwhelming in this track that doesn't really bring a lot of clarity in the mix. Unfortunately, the hook of the track is very wordy, and instead of like being catchy, I don't find it to be that memorable. It more becomes like a lot of words just jumbled together, and doesn't really leave an impression melodically in my head. The atmosphere of the track could be cool, but like it's like if it wasn't covered up entirely by this bass presence. I'm placing this one in the E tier as well. I think right in there in the middle. Quite just an underwhelming listen that I wouldn't return to willingly at all. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard, absolutely not, but it's just there. It doesn't excite me at all, and I find no real reason why it would be number 5 on a year-end list for Billboard, but here we are. However, the other 4 songs that are up here, I absolutely understand why they are, because they stand out. And the first one of those would, of course, be Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. And was, like, when it was released, mainly, it was just strikingly refreshing with a completely, like, new sound, a new approach to really composing music. Maybe not, like, a completely new way, but of finding the mainstream with a song in such a refreshing approach, really. That's the main takeaway I have from it. It's a compelling arrangement with most superb sound design of the year by far. It just has. I say that and I realize that Disclosure put together Talk this year, so I can't guarantee that I stick by those words. But anyway, some immense sound design on it. Phineas really just coming out of nowhere and inspiring really an entire new era of music after his just excellent work on this entire album, really. But on Bad Guy, I guess in particular, when it comes to these upbeat and more, I guess, club-friendly types of songs, that this absolutely is. It has that high amount of energy and just pulsating bass work, nice crisp percussion in there as well. Vocally lies perfectly on top. The vocal arrangement is also quite varied and detailed, which I think is a standout aspect. Just an immense amount of clarity on the track with these details as well, which is really nice. Fascinatingly, like just how catchy the song is, both from like Billie's vocals throughout the song and that little hook that it has with the sweet little synth line, very airy and breathy on top. Very mellow approach in so many instrumental aspects, and then in others you have just this huge pulse and muddiness and darkness, which contrasts each other really nicely. I think it comes together perfectly. I think this is the S tier song of today's video, because I find it to be brilliant, really. And obviously quite the trendsetter as well. Whatever you think of songs that have really gotten inspiration from this Billie Eilish explosion, I guess, in terms of popularity, I think the pioneer here definitely deserves its plaudits. As I move on to Without Me by Halsey, and I'm on the edge of really like finding the hook of the IE, either really irritating or so catchy. Like I can never really make my mind up, but I find myself really enjoying it every time I listen to it, even though maybe I should consider it to be a bit on the annoying side. But it's just irresistible for me, I suppose, and that's just the way it is. The instrumentation on the track is unfortunately quite uninteresting in my opinion, and the presence of all these instrumental inputs feel quite limited and simplistic. However, I mean, the instrumental beat kind of has a really neat groove to it that makes the song effective, so that aspect is really nice. Quite a fun listen, even if it is slightly underwhelming in its arrangement. I actually enjoy listening to it so much that I'm placing it in the B tier. It's at the low end of the B tier, but I think this is a really nice listen to put on at any time, really. And that hook, it sticks. It sticks. Whether you want it or not, it does, at least for me. And 2 songs to go, both of them being, I guess, like, could you call Sunflower a rap song? I'm not even sure. Like obviously it's by two rappers, Post Malone and Swae Lee here with Sunflower. And I think what really makes this song stand out the most is probably like how much I realized at this point that Swae Lee had a lot to offer within the music scene. Like he really shows his worth in this song. Again, some of the most charming vocal lines of modern pop music, really. So much warmth in this track and a really inviting embrace of heartfeltness and warmth. It's a really charming performance with just great melodic intonation as well. This chorus, it sticks and it's uplifting and it's happy and makes me happy. Can't fault it for any of those aspects. It's a smooth and vibey arrangement as well that just, yeah, puts a smile on my face. I can't say anything else really. Production is crisp on it, absolutely. It hits hard. Post Malone has his parts of the track as well that are enjoyable, but I think it's the Swae Lee that absolutely kills it on this song. Very sweet composition, feels so much warmth from it. I'm placing this in the A tier as well. I can't even bother to sort them around here. It manages to put as big of a smile on my face as I Don't Care does. Maybe this one's a bit more on the creative side, I don't know, but I'm just keeping them all up here. And they're actually going to get some company because Old Town Road, I understand, like this is it's dumb. And do I find it a bit stupid that it is actually the song that I spent the longest amount of time at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 list? Absolutely. Like this song should not be that, but we're here, that's the way it is, and I'll just accept that fact. Do I still think that this song is incredibly fun? Absolutely, yes I do. It's sing-along friendly. It takes itself so unseriously that I just can't help but really fall for its charm, I suppose. It's this hip-hop country crossover that, yeah, as I said, doesn't take itself too seriously. It just wants to be fun and a bit goofy. And I find that to be exactly the right approach to take with a song like this. I find it very enjoyable, melodically, so memorable, so sing-along friendly. It's just a blast to listen to. I'm placing this in the A tier as well for just fun, uplifting, energetic vibes and a great hook, really, has to be said. And I like this combination as well of the very simple guitar work and that hard-hitting beat as well. It just comes together so well, produced nicely. It's effective. It's a fun listen for most. I'm not going to say for most people, but clearly since it got #1 on the year-end charts as well. And yeah, all the more power to both Lil Nas X and of course the Billy Ray Cyrus feature that came along here. And what a way to like kick off a career that hopefully I will talk more about in the coming videos, because Lil Nas X definitely left a mark on the scene and has put together and put out some fantastic songs after this as well, I gotta say. And that's the end of the tier list anyway. This kind of unexpectedly, if I gotta be honest, was a really good year for me. Like so many of these standout hit songs just clicked with me. There's Bad Guy, there's Talk, Happier, Eastside, I Don't Care, Sunflower, and Old Town Road, all being in the top 2 categories. And then I got 3 songs that I really like in the B tier as well. Some decent ones in the C tier. Sicko Mode is something in the D tier as well that I can enjoy. It's just the 5 at the bottom that I find to be really poor. But I understand why some of those would be favorites for others. However, now, of course, I'm interested to read what you think of the songs from 2019. Do you find it to be as good of a year as I did? Because I kind of surprised myself by just how much I enjoyed listening to these songs again. And I'm looking forward now to revisiting 2020. It's going to be fun. And hopefully I will see you in that video as well. So take care of yourselves until then, and bye-bye.